Welcome to the channel, everybody. I thought we would talk about my golf bag. And the reason I wanted to talk about my golf bag is because I've done a lot of messing around this year. I've even turned up at a tournament and didn't actually know what driver I was actually using in my bag. So I thought today, if I don't know about it, you probably don't know about it. So let's give you a little update of what's going on in my golf bag. First thing I want to talk to you about is my golf bag. Been teamed up this year with Sun Mountain. Now, Sun Mountain have provided me with a H2NO golf bag. Loved using this golf bag this year because one thing you might notice is how much rain we've had during our vlogs this year. H2NO bag is fully waterproof. I've got the 4-way divide one here, and I've also got the blue one, which is a 14-way divide. They've even popped my logo on it, so a big shout out to Sun Mountain for sending me out their golf bag. Should we start with putter? Scott Redmond design head cover. Went up to Scott Redmond in Bristol and he actually built this one for me. I chose all the colours. It's been in my golf bag forever. It's even fading a little bit on top now because it's been in there so long. Scotty Cameron Newport 2. You will have seen this from the previous what's in the bag because it hasn't really changed. Newport 2 has been my choice of putter for quite a few years. Love the look of it. Find a putter you like the look of, find the weight you like, and then kind of just stick with it. Then you can't really blame anything but yourself if you don't quite putt so good. Anyway, I had this customed out by my good friend at Custom My Clubs, Gareth. He put this together for me, blackened it out, put some gold in there, even put my colours of the channel in there, the purple and gold, and then I've got the white sight line on top there, which at 34 inches in length, and then the putter grip is just your standard kind of pistol grip that comes from Scotty Cameron. Absolutely love this putter. Can't imagine I will replace it. If I do replace it, it will probably just be an upgrade of the newer version of the Newport 2, but that's the one that's in my bag and is staying in my bag. Wedges. Now, this is an interesting one with me, Wedges. Got to remember, I was always sponsored by Titleist up until this year. Therefore, it was a lot easier for me to kind of stick with what I knew, stick with my Titleist products. However, because I'm now no longer with Titleist, it's given me the opportunity to experiment a little bit more, and probably to my own detriment in some ways, because I've been messing about with different clubs. I think it's good to find clubs that you like and then stick with them. However, stick with them I have. SM7 wedge. It's a 46-degree SM7 wedge. It's got get up down written on it. It's quite an old wedge, but works really well. I've got a 50-degree wedge in there. Again, SM7. Just love the look and feel of both these wedges. But what I have done is I've had a little play around with my Vokey SM10s, and I've just popped in the Cleveland RTX 6. This is the zip core version. These aren't the full face ones. These are kind of like standard ones, should we say. I've got a 56 and a 60. And the reason I put these in is I was struggling a little bit with my wedge game, and I just wanted to look at something completely different. When I've done the testing on these Cleveland wedges, wow, the spin that I got out of them first out was fantastic, and they're doing really well. I'm actually really enjoying using them, which is why they're staying in the bag for now. But yeah, wedge-wise, I think it's important to find what you like and then kind of stick with it. However, because of the matchup in my bag, I am considering possibly dropping a wedge. So I've got to figure that out down in the future, maybe 58, 52, 58, 54, something like that, which will then give me a little bit more wriggle room at the top end of the bag. But at the moment, that's the wedges that I'm using in the bag. Now, this has caused some serious conversations in the comments section. Under this head cover, which is my little English head cover, I have got the GT2 7-wood. Now, there's one thing I want you to notice here, and that is that strike right there. Can you see that? That strike right there, which is quite a way in the toe. Now, that is something that I do on a regular basis, right the way across my clubs, basically. I'm a bit of a toe striker. Now, I put this 7-wood in play because it kind of bridged that gap between my 3-wood into my 4-iron. However, when I've struck it in the toe, it kind of starts more on target and then overturns too much. I've even lost a couple of balls with it when I was playing yesterday in the tournament. So yardage wise, it goes a little bit less than what my old 5-wood would go. So this 5-wood can really get out there quite hot. Therefore it runs a little bit into my 3-wood, which in turn kind of left me wanting to hit my 5-wood more than my 3-wood, which then kind of put my 3-wood as a bit more redundant. So the great thing about this particular club is, again, you can see that I do hit it in the toe, but what this club seems to do really well with is it tends to push that ball a little bit further to the right, and then it will draw back with that gear effect. I never see this club kind of starting on target and then overturning. It kind of starts right and then comes back to the target, which is why I generally do hit the target with it. So there's a possibility, well, there's not just a possibility, there's a guarantee that this 5-wood, TaylorMade RBZ 5-wood, which is an old one, which is my trusty, will probably be going back in the bag because of that. I will work on the 7-wood, but I think the RBZ is just something I just run to and enjoy hitting. I cannot afford to be losing golf balls hitting a 7-wood. So RBZ is going back in. There are numbers displayed everywhere when it comes to my irons. Now I've had these irons in the bag, I think for probably in the region of around 4 years. I've messed about with different irons and even Titleist irons, but I kind of seem to run back to these irons. And the reason why I run back to them is not because that they are the most forgiving clubs in the world, not because they're the strongest clubs in the world, but the Titleist MB, which is their forged, basically, blade, they are very traditional in their lofts, and therefore I get absolute control of these clubs. When I do miss hit it, I drop off short. I very rarely go long with these clubs, which I always think the golf course kind of runs out the back of over the green. So I've got MBs running from 9-iron up to 5-iron, and I use the Vokey wedge to go into this. I could use the actual wedge, but I like to use that Vokey wedge. It's a little bit more versatile as far as I'm concerned. I've got Project X 6.0 rifle shafts in there, which I love. I love that shaft, had it for years. And I've also got the multi-compound red and black grips across them. But then when I go into my 4-iron, I've got a T100 4-iron. And the reason I've got this particular one in the bag, again, same shaft, but the reason why I've got this one in is because it's just a little bit more forgiving than what I'm getting out of those MBs. I would seem to get a gap that would close down between my 5-iron and 4-iron, which is why T100 went in. However, the PXG 0317T, which is a beautiful looking club, I got fitted for these at PXG, and I love the look of them. They're kind of a bladed look, but they've got the forgiveness that the MB probably doesn't have. Now, I've taken these out and I've basically worked out that I've just got the wrong fit for these. They're not built for what I need. Therefore, I'm going to be heading back to PXG to have a chat with them to see if we can get these maneuvered to fit into my game a little bit better, because I desperately want to try and start using these clubs. I think they're a beautiful feel, they're a beautiful look. They've just got that little bit more forgiveness than I'm getting out of my MBs. So, watch this space. PXG could be going back in the bag because, well, I want them to go back in the bag because of that forgiveness. We'll see. Sunday morning show. Kind of turned into the foundation of the channel, the Sunday morning show. If you haven't checked out the Sunday morning show, make sure you do. Every Sunday, well, when I say every Sunday, pretty much every Sunday, 7 AM UK time. We've got pom-pom head covers, which are for sale on the shop. However, we've only got a few left, so go and check them out. Under that head cover though, we've got the TaylorMade QI10 3-wood. It's a 15 degree. I'm pretty sure this is the one Scotty Scheffler uses. Well, when I say uses, I'm sure the heads are pretty similar, but the shafts are going to be probably very different. However, I've fallen in love with this 3-wood, and the reason I've fallen in love with it is because it feels almost identical to my 5-wood, the RBZ 5-wood. It feels identical to it, however, it goes just a little bit longer than what I get out of that 5-wood. The great thing about this one, and if you are struggling to get that ball up in the air, then this 3-wood just launches straight up, really high, great flight out of it, great spin, good amount of control. I've got the Ventus TR60S in it, so it's a 60 gram S fairway wood. I haven't yet changed the grip. It's got that sort of 360 degree round TaylorMade grip on there. But all in all, I just love this club. However, like I said before, it does kind of get a little bit close to that 5-wood. So if I am going to be putting that 5-wood back in the bag, I kind of want to have something that's going to go maybe just that little bit longer, just to get away from each other a little bit more. Now the GT2, Titleist GT2, which is one I was fitted for, it's a 13.5 degrees in loft, and I really like the look of this club. I think the profile of it's really nice and big. It gives me lots of confidence when I set up to it. I've got a Tensai 1K Black in there, which is the same as what I've got in that 7 wood. And this one is something that I have tinkered around with. I've played some very good shots with this one. So if I do go and put that 5 wood back in the bag, then we may have to start experimenting again with this 3 wood because I can get it out there just a little bit further. So that's what's going on in the fairway wood front. Another DHG Ryder Cup head cover. Still a few of these actually left with these special edition made. Got the fairways and the drivers. However, this one is going to jump out to some of you and be a bit confusing because some of you haven't even seen me test this driver. If you've not watched the Sunday show, you wouldn't have seen me experiment with this. However, this is the Hendriksen ZX7. It's the Mark II driver head. It's slightly different, and one of which I'm not sure you're going to find this off the shelf because I got it from their tour van. Chap that works on the tour van, Ian, he is a member here and he's let me use his backup driver, which is this one. We've got special weighting inside the head here that you glue, that goes inside this head and is weighted a little bit further forward and a little bit more into the heel, which suits his game, and funnily enough it kind of helps my game as well. It makes it feel very solid off the club face. The weight of this head is a little bit heavier than what we're going to find, let's say, in a normal ZX7 driver. You can maneuver the weights to sort of manipulate that, but the facts are that this weight is pushed forward. It's a 10.5 head, it sits beautifully. The other thing with it is that we've got a Ventus TR70 S-Flex, and it's been cut down at 44.5 inches. Normally you're going to find 45.5 inch drivers now pretty much all the time on the market and in your pro shops, but this one is slightly shorter and is a 70 gram. What does that mean? 70 gram means that it's going to be a little bit less twisting at the bottom of that club as it comes into impact, therefore going to make it a little bit more stable for me, which is exactly what I'm feeling. I feel like I've got complete control of that club head. I can identify where the face is kind of pointing throughout my swing, which is great. But that's the reason why I am using this Hendriksen ZX7 driver. Beautiful club, and it finds me a few more fairways. Last couple additions to the bag. Pro V1X. Been sort of experimenting with the Hendriksen ball, and then I always seem to run back to my Titleist golf balls, and as you can see, I didn't have a very good day yesterday and ran out of balls. So that is the ball that I'm using as it stands right now. However, I don't have many left. Also, I've got the Shot Scope Pro ZR rangefinder. Now I use this particular rangefinder, it's got that magnetic bite on the side, it's got slope on it, so if I'm out on the golf course in vlogs and things like that, I can use the slope. If I'm in tournaments, I can turn that slope off, but that's the rangefinder of choice for me. A little bit more weighty, and I also use the X5 watch as well from Shot Scope, which is in the golf bag. And that's about it. That's what's going on in my golf bag right now. I hope you've enjoyed that video. If there's anything in there that you kind of like the look of, I'd like to hear what you think. If there's any clubs in there that you're using, I'd like to hear down in the comments. And also, is there a club in there that you're a little bit surprised to see? If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again on the next video.